They lived worlds apart, one charging into battle with axe in hand, the other writing in solitude with a sharpened mind. But what if I told you that the fearless Vikings and the wise Stoics shared the same code, not on the surface, but deep in their philosophy and how they faced pain, chaos, and mortality? They were warriors of the same truth. One roared into war, the other whispered through hardship, but both stood unshaken. This isn't just history, this is a mirror. Because in today's storm of noise, stress, and ego, their ancient wisdom is your modern weapon. Welcome to the place where warrior meets philosopher, where stillness meets savagery. Let's dive into 10 life-changing principles that fuse Viking courage with Stoic clarity, so you can lead, endure, and rise with purpose. The Stoics had a phrase, amor fati, love of one's fate. Not just tolerate it, love it, actively. Why? Because fate is not the enemy. Fate is the training ground. It's the teacher that forges the steel in your spirit. The Vikings shared this understanding in their belief in the Norns, three sisters who wove the fate of gods and men alike. They didn't curse their fate. They met it with blood and pride. When a Viking met hardship, he saw it as the thread of his destiny being pulled tighter, not unraveled. In your life, disappointment will come, heartbreak, failure. But Amor Fati whispers, this is still your story, and you are still the hero. A study in the Journal of Personality found that people who interpret negative experiences as purposeful grow more resilient and live with greater meaning. That's not delusion, that's design. What if your struggle is the point, Amor Fati? The Vikings went into battle expecting death, and laughing at it. They believed that to die in battle was to ascend to Valhalla. Death wasn't an end, it was a test, an honor. The Stoics, they meditated on mortality every day. Marcus Aurelius said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This wasn't fear, it was focus. Today, we hide from death. But the truth is, nothing sharpens your life like remembering its limit. We waste hours because we act like we have years. The Stoics and Vikings didn't have that luxury. Every breath mattered. Neuroscience tells us that mortality salience, awareness of death, boosts focus, gratitude, and urgency. It makes your moments count. You will die, so live like it matters. Vikings weren't party animals, they were trained predators. They survived winters, famine, and weeks at sea with iron discipline. Comfort was the enemy, weakness a disease. Likewise, the Stoics practiced radical self-restraint. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Self-control wasn't about denial, it was about power. In a world that glorifies impulse and indulgence, discipline is rebellion. It's not about saying no to pleasure, it's about saying yes to purpose. Studies show that the ability to delay gratification predicts long-term success better than intelligence or background. It's the foundation of financial stability, healthy relationships, and personal greatness. Indulge less, dominate more. The berserker wasn't just rage, he was fearless surrender to the moment. He didn't hesitate, he acted with terrifying clarity. The Stoics? They walked into fire with composure. Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Their courage wasn't in the battle cry. It was in the steady breath before speaking truth to power. When chaos comes, and it will, you don't need to panic. You need to enter it on your terms. Exposure therapy today is built on the idea that facing fear reduces its power. Stoicism was doing this 2,000 years ago. The calmest one in the room, the most dangerous. The old Viking saying went, say little, do much. Their legends weren't just brave, they were reserved, intentional. When they spoke, it mattered. Marcus Aurelius wrote journals he never meant to publish. He didn't need applause, he needed clarity. His wisdom came from silence, not noise. In silence you meet your real self. In noise, you lose him. Stillness isn't laziness, it's strategy. Journaling, mindfulness, and silence improve emotional regulation, decision-making, and overall mental strength. Loud isn't strong, silent is. Vikings braved the harshest environments. Freezing seas, unforgiving winter's wounds that would make most crumble. And yet, they never begged the world for mercy. Stoics endured too, not in war, but in spirit. They lost children, faced exile, illness, humiliation, and still said, "I can bear it, I must." Endurance isn't about gritting your teeth, it's about trusting your depth, that the storm isn't stronger than your roots. Psychological research confirms people who reframe pain as part of growth show higher resilience and lower depression rates. That's not philosophy, that's brain chemistry. Pain is real, so is your strength. The Viking ship was a bond, a brotherhood rowing through death itself. Loyalty was sacred, betrayal was treason. The Stoics, those solitary thinkers, valued connection. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, human beings are made for one another. Here's the truth. You need solitude to build wisdom, but you need community to sharpen it. The warrior trains alone. The mission is never alone. Studies from Harvard show the longest-living, happiest people have deep, trusting relationships. Not wide social networks, but strong ones. Be alone to reflect. Unite to rise. Solitude makes you wise. Brotherhood makes you unstoppable. The Vikings knew they couldn't outrun storms, so they sailed into them. The Stoics knew they couldn't change the world, so they focused on changing themselves. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's choosing where to fight. It's spending your willpower on what matters, not what frustrates you. Acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, uses Stoic-like principles, focusing on values, not control. The result? Better mental health and honestly, stronger action. You don't control the storm, but you sail it. To a Viking, honor wasn't a concept, it was blood deep. To be shamed was worse than death. Your name echoed in the halls of Valhalla only if you lived and died with integrity. The Stoics agreed. Seneca wrote, "A good character once established is not easily shaken." Virtue was the only true currency. Today, honor might look different. No sword, no shield. But your reputation still speaks before you do. And really, nothing ages better than dignity. Identity-based habits, framing actions through the lens of "I am this kind of person," are the most powerful drivers of change. Honor isn't a gesture, it's a pattern. Your name is your legacy. Guard it. Yes, Vikings would rather die in battle than live in disgrace. But let's elevate the meaning. To the Stoics, a life lived without virtue was a kind of death. Not physical, spiritual. Today, death before dishonor means never betraying your deeper values. Even when it's hard, especially then. Studies show that people who live aligned with core values experience lower anxiety, greater fulfillment, and stronger decision-making under pressure. Let your actions die before your principles do. Don't die with your values, live by them. So now you see, the Viking wasn't just a brute, the Stoic wasn't just a monk. They were two sides of the same blade, warrior and philosopher, fury and focus, courage and clarity. In a world that pushes chaos, you don't need more noise, you need more depth. You need to fight like a Viking and think like a Stoic, to wake up with purpose, to face pain without pity, to lead without shouting, to love your fate and still shape it. This video wasn't just for entertainment, it was a call, a reminder, that you carry ancient power, not in armor, not in robes, but in discipline, dignity, and silence that roars louder than words. Which Viking or Stoic principle will you live by today? Subscribe to Pep Talk at Night, where wisdom meets modern strength. Calm, strategic, fearless, that's the new era. Viking blood, Stoic mind, that's how you lead.